In this Managing Asia series, we look at how companies from different industries are tapping on future trends to meet not only ESG goals, but also to build a sustainable business. Hello and welcome to Managing Asia. She's a philanthropist who founded social enterprises focused on education and the environment. I caught up with Nanette Medved-Po to find out more about her efforts to create a more inclusive and sustainable future. When Nanette Medved-Po founded social enterprise Hope in 2010, her goal was to build classrooms in rural areas of the Philippines, using proceeds raised from the sale of bottled water.
I felt like this was a really tangible way where people could invest in nation building. You buy a bottle of water, we're going to build classrooms. So it's a super simple value proposition.
The group helped build more than 110 classrooms across the country. But Nanette soon realized that while she was helping to solve one problem, she was adding to another by generating massive amounts of plastic waste. To help tackle that issue, she created another endeavor. I recently caught up with her to find out more. Nanette, so good to see you. Thank you so much for talking to me. In 2019, you founded PCX, or Plastic Credit Exchange. You say it's the world's first global nonprofit offset program. What made you decide that you also wanted to help solve the plastic waste problem?
It was a really kind of organic transition initially, and the idea wasn't to start PCX. The idea was simply, I sit on the board of WWF in the Philippines, and we became aware very early on how big the problem is for plastic waste, especially in the ocean. And so I was horrified, and I said, so let's try and solve the issue of plastic, because the water is served in plastic bottles, or we're getting out of this business. Like,
which
that
you
was
eventually
the threat.
did.
Well, no, we still have water in plastic format. We also have it in Tetra Pak. But I think it was really a blessing that we went through this long trial and error on how do you take responsibility for your plastic footprint, because we were able to find a way to take responsibility. And the aha moment wasn't that, oh wow, we are so great, we are, plastic responsible. The aha moment was, wait a minute, if I am a small player in a low margin business and I can afford to take responsibility for my plastic footprint, how about everybody else out there? So I thought, well, I'm going to talk about how we took responsibility for our plastics. And I went out and started talking about this on air and got so much interest from companies who were trying to find a way to be responsible. And thus was born PCX. And so I said, okay, let me try and help others also discover their paths to sustainability. And we focused on plastic because that is a huge problem, as you know, in the Philippines. We are infamously the third worst offender for ocean plastic pollution.
Just how bad was the problem during the COVID-19 pandemic?
It did make things worse. I mean, the numbers are all over the place. If you listen to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, they say that solid waste went up about 20% during the pandemic. But then you have folks like ResearchGate that says it went from 2.7 million tons a year to 8.2 million tons a year just for plastic, which sounds a little off the charts, but needless to say, there was an increase. And in a country like the Philippines, with very much a poor population who uses a lot of plastic regardless of safety issues due to the pandemic, we also don't have the infrastructure to deal with plastic waste. So that's something that we feel intimately, right? It's so tangible, it's in your face, it's flooding the rivers, it's, it's everywhere. So you really do feel it in a real way.
Has it been easy getting companies to commit to your program?
Actually, it's not the company. It's actually been surprisingly easy to get companies to commit, because so many of these companies have sustainability goals and are searching for ways to comply to this, commitment they've made to the public. But I think the bigger problem is navigating how to do this best. And so what keeps me up at night is there's so many ways an offset program can go wrong. How can you make sure that you're really delivering something that is impactful for the environment? Because at the end of the day, it's a nonprofit. we should make sure at the very least we're doing the right thing.
And you also don't want companies to use the offset program as a way to pollute even further.
Correct.
Right? You want to make sure you deliver real impact.
Absolutely, because that's what this is all about. We're an organization that was built in mission, right? So how do you solve the plastic waste problem? And it's become very complex, and the truth is it's such a complex problem that you really need many tools, if you will, in your toolkit to solve this issue. And we are trying our best and think that we've made some very interesting progress.
And part of that progression is taking place here, in traditional women-owned sari-sari stores found all over the Philippines. Via its Waste for Cash Arlington Dera program, PCX is encouraging these stores to become collection points for plastic waste. Where did you get the idea from, and how successful has it been?
What we realized is this behavior change. Nothing changes behavior in these communities like money,
Yes.
right? Or in any community, I guess, like money. So what happened is we noticed that you don't see glass or paper littering the streets because people will collect it and sell it into the circular economy. So what we're trying to do is recreate that system for plastic. Get plastic, collect it off the street, collect it in your home, whatever, and sell it back into the circular economy. So this is what we're trying to do. It's become incredibly successful. We have many city mayors now who are asking us to roll out in their jurisdictions. We work closely with the government, who thinks that this is not only helpful in cleaning up the environment, it helps, the socioeconomic people get incremental income from doing this, but it also helps the government, which is heavily burdened by the waste system. And so this is a really important way to kind of mobilize all the stakeholders to solve this problem.
What about disclosure? What about transparency? Is that something you're trying to introduce into PCX as well?
Yes. So what we did is we introduced Microsoft Innovation Lab, which was amazing, actually built us our first blockchain registry so that we could actually follow plastic, a tangible material. You can weigh it when you collect it. Where did it come from? What kind of plastic? Where did it go? How is it processed?
So it's encrypted with blockchain?
It is, because I think this is the kind of application that blockchain was made for, so that you can provide transparency to account for additionality, all of those things. And so I put that out in the public, this registry, so that if a brand comes out and says, we are incredible environmental stewards, anybody in the public could go online and check and say, well, let's see how much they've actually done.
So how much progress has this platform made in helping to divert plastic waste away from nature?
Well, COVID set us back quite a bit. I think at the end of 2021, we had cleaned up 33 million kilos of plastic out of the environment.
But now that the pandemic is
we're hoping that
over.
gets to pick up quite a bit. Plus, we are growing our geographies of intervention, outside of Southeast Asia, looking at South America, looking at, Africa, looking at quite a few jurisdictions where we could really help where there's a high mismanagement of waste. So, we're hoping to clean up as much as we can. It's a huge problem, though.
So what sort of leadership do you want to provide to these social enterprises to create and bring about a sustainable future?
Yeah, I think that if we do nothing else, I hope that we can model the behavior we want to see in the world. And at some point, every business is social, right? But what we hope to demonstrate is if you can start to look at performance as value creation beyond profitability, then that's huge. If you can really look at a multiple stakeholder group and not just shareholders, that's the change that we need to see in this world, because business as usual didn't work.
You are one person. Do you think you can make a real impact in what you do? You hope?
I think that's hard to answer. I think I would just like to do my best, and if that somehow creates a little bit of difference, then I'm okay with that.
Nanette, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thanks, Christy.
And that was Nanette Medved-Po, founder and chairwoman of Hope and Plastic Credit Exchange. I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.
brought to you by Credit Suisse.